All right. Okay, so we are here for the video performance option of the RICA. There is a video performance option that some people like to explore. And I want to kind of talk to you about what the requirements are and make sure that you understand what this looks like from beginning to end. So first of all, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Emily Muccianti. I am a reading specialist. I am an interventionist. I have been in the classroom for 27 years, most of that time in reading intervention. I have taught all grades from kindergarten through 12th grade, spent a number of years in each of those placements. And so I have a great deal of experience to bring to you, in addition to just the information that I have about how we actually teach kids to read. That's where I have been for the majority of my career. I have been working, supporting teachers on the RICA in both options, the written and the video, for many years, worked with hundreds of teachers, and it's been a great journey. So this part of what we're doing with the video option is relatively new. It started about a year and a half ago, and it is in its current adaptation. I'll share with you kind of what it looks like as we get toward the end. But to begin, I want to make sure that you know if you are a good candidate for this option or not. So this is the first part of it. We have to determine, is this a good option? Because quite honestly, it is not a good option for everyone. So if you have attempted the written before, you've been studying for the written and you have not found success, it may be a good option for you. If you are currently in the classroom, you might be an intern, you might be on an emergency credential, and you are able to work with your own class, it may be an option for you. If you are comfortable with your teaching, you display confidence in front of a class, and you possess good classroom management, this could be a good option for you. Now, if you teach a mod severe special education class, I do not recommend this as an option. And that is because it does depend. I've had members who have done it and they've had success, and I've had some that have not. If the nature of your students' disabilities will impact your ability to meet the requirements of the RICA option, then it won't be a good fit. For example, if you work with a nonverbal population, that is not an ideal situation for being able to display that you can follow the steps and the direct instruction that is required in these competencies. So please really look carefully at who your student population is to see if this would be a good fit. I really suggest, if any of these fit you, that you look toward the written. If you have too much going on in your life right now to fit it in because you're trying to finish your Cal TPAs, you're trying to graduate, you've got all kinds of things going on, this will take up a great deal of time. And if you don't have the time to work on it, it's going to be challenging. If you have to borrow someone else's class, that's going to make it additionally challenging. It can be done. Although your videos need to be in a classroom setting, you cannot do this at your home, at your kitchen table. But the scheduling and the fact that these kids are not yours, so classroom management might be a challenge. So you'll have to evaluate that. If you can recognize in yourself that you do not possess good classroom control yet, good classroom management, it may not be a good option for you. That can make this very challenging as well. If you have not ever attempted the written, if you've never attempted the written, I would recommend you take the written for a couple of reasons. One, you need to have the studying under your belt to understand how to speak the language of RICA, and you get it by preparing for the written. When we don't use the language that are within these competencies, I call it speak in RICA, it's going to be additionally difficult to show that you know what you're talking about inside of your templates. So the written is a better first option. If you are not in a placement where you can demonstrate the requirements of the RICA, if your placement is online and you're a virtual teacher, you can still do this. I have had several teachers pass with a virtual situation. They give kind of some parameters in how to do that. But if you're working with, for example, some of the exceptional populations with our special education students, you really have to think if you're going to be able to show what it is that they are requiring. Any questions about that? Okay. So let's jump in and talk about what this looks like. What are the requirements? So first of all, there is, I'm going to give you a number of links that you're going to want to save in a Google Doc if you don't already have access to them so that you can refer back to them. And the first one I want to give you is the CDC content specifications for the RICA, because this is what you will need to print out in order to use and access and know what it is that these competencies and domains that they are talking about are actually what the word for word verbatim information is. So here's your first link that I'd like you to save. Now, this particular guide, there's also an assessment guide that I think I'm going to have to pull that one up. That's in the course. The content specifications are there, but the assessment guide is a little more specific to the video option, and you can access that on the CDC website. I can pull it up at the end so that you have it. But each assessment guide is published in August or September of the school year, and it expires in June of the next year. So the current assessment guide is only valid through June 13th, 2024. They will then rearrange and rewrite the requirements for the next school year. So that means there's only 2 additional submission deadlines for you under this current assessment guide. With the requirement, you are required to demonstrate your knowledge and skills in the selected competencies from the 5 domains. You will also be required to deliver effective reading instruction that is based on ongoing assessment, reflects a knowledge of the standards, and is sensitive to the needs of all students. Now, I want to highlight this part right here. It has to be based on ongoing assessment. You are going to pull assessment data that validates the need for whatever lesson it is that you are going to deliver. You don't just pull an idea of what you want to teach without having data that shows there's a reason for what you're teaching. This is a very, very important part of the requirement, and this incorporates all of domain 1, and it will apply to every single template and all of the different settings. You will create 3 videos along with templates for your submission. The first video submission is done with a whole class. A whole class is considered 5 or more students, and you will record this video, complete a template along with it. That is one of your requirements. The small group requirement is anywhere from 3 students to 12 students. There's a video and a template as well. And then an individual student, which shows you working one-on-one. Again, a video and a template. Each of your videos must be 5 to 10 minutes in length. It is required to be unedited, which means you can trim the ends of it so that whatever you submit is a continuous 5 to 10 minutes. It cannot be 4 minutes and 59 seconds, and it cannot be 10 minutes and 1 second. We need to really be very literal with all of the requirements that they have and make sure that you fall within those parameters. It must show you providing instruction to your students, so you will have to be on camera, and it must represent your original work. You cannot borrow something from somebody else and redo it. It has to be your original work. You will be collecting parent permission slips for your students that are visible on your recording, and you're going to want to keep those for your records. You can make a backup of the video so that you don't lose it, but you are not able to distribute it. And after you receive your passing scores and you get that score report, they are asking also that you destroy the videos. That's for confidentiality purposes for your students. Okay, so there are, as I mentioned, there are only 3 submission deadlines each year. The one in the fall has already passed. That was October 26th, and I'm so excited to say that our video group that was within my course, we had an 88% pass rate, which was phenomenal. The video option usually has as a reported pass rate of 50%. So the written exam has a reported pass rate of 68%. So the video is more challenging, but we were able to really support our group in the fall with that 88% pass rate. The next submission is March 7th, which is why this is the last informational webinar that I'm going to hold about the video until after this date, because if we did this in February, you don't have enough time. You have to have enough time to do it. The last submission date is June 13th, and they close registration June 1st. They do not allow anyone to opt into the video after June 1st of 2024. But pay attention to your school calendar because a lot of schools close in May, right? So you are going to want to finish that. If you are looking at that summer submission, you're going to want to finish that well before this date. All right, so again, some additional requirements. All requirements must be met in order to receive a pass. Let's look at the whole class setting first. This one, we are going to focus in on domain 2, and you have a choice of competency 6 or 7. So this relates to word analysis. It relates to basically decoding of words, phonics space types of things. Now, underneath each domain is a competency. Under each competency, there are several sub-competencies that you'll find in the content specifications. You pull your lesson directly from the sub-competencies under either 6 or 7. I walk you through how to do this in the course, okay? It's kind of a step-by-step process. In addition to having to focus in on domain 2, it's also known, because they tell you at an earlier time, that domain 1, that assessment piece, is required for every single setting. So I'm focusing in just on the lesson, but don't forget that the assessment piece of it is still a requirement. Okay, so usually competency 6 is related to earlier types of decoding, and this may be a good choice for our younger students that are working with smaller words. Our older students, it's when we're working with multisyllabic words or morphology or structural analysis, competency 7 may be your better choice. Setting number 2 for the small group is focused in on comprehension. So here you have a choice between 3 different competencies. This competency 13 relates to basically general types of comprehension focuses and requirements. Competency 14 is all about narrative text. Competency 15 is all about informational and expository text. So just a little kind of caveat here. I had a high school sped teacher. He was an RSP teacher a couple of times back, and he supported the teachers in math and science. That was his place of support. He didn't work with literacy. So when we got to this piece, we used his science textbook and we used expository text, and he did a great job with the lesson. Okay, so keep that in mind. That's something that you could consider, especially for my secondary teachers. The final setting for your individual focuses in on domain 4, which is about academic vocabulary and background knowledge. And this is, you don't have a choice. You have to pull a sub-competency underneath 11, competency 11. This is, all of these will also have parts to the template where you will talk about the student demographics. You'll talk about your English learners. Competency 11 with domain 4, this may be something good to pull with an EL student if you have one. You don't have to. That it's not a requirement, but it is an option. So again, you're required to meet all of the requirements in order to pass. So you have to submit all 3 videos at the same time. You can upload them and they can sit in your, what do they call that? Your portal, right? Your CDC portal or your Pearson portal. But when you go to hit submit, everything needs to be there at once. You cannot hit submit again. You will submit evidence and videos that have never been scored before. So if you've done this before and you're like, well, maybe I should just tweak it, my recommendation is don't. It didn't pass. Let's go for something bigger and better so that you can ensure the pass. And we don't want just, you know, happenstance, you get the same scorer and they see the same kind of a lesson. So don't do it. They require that it's something that has never been scored before. Demonstrate your knowledge and skills with sufficient video evidence. You bear the burden of proof. It is up to you to prove to that person reading your templates and watching your videos that you know how to take assessment data to plan a lesson related to improving the literacy outcomes of your student. That is a big job, and you are the one that bears the burden of proof. So no matter what you get, that responsibility really does lie with you, and it's a big one. So keep that in mind. Again, your video has to be 5 to 10 minutes of instruction without interruption. You can't interrupt the recording and you can't edit it later. You can only trim the ends to meet the 5 to 10 minute requirement. Your face must be seen and you must be heard. So as you go to record your videos, I always tell everyone, as soon as you've recorded that lesson, watch it. Make sure you can be seen and heard. If you can't, do it again right then. You may have had a technical difficulty, but make sure that that's the case. Now, there are situations, as you know, when you're working with your class, you have to step out of the camera frame in order to help a student, right? Those kinds of a few seconds off on the side, that's okay. That's not going to be a problem. But for the majority of the time, you need to be seen and heard. You will submit your work of actual teaching in English. So if you are a dual immersion teacher, everything that you do with this video, your template and on camera, must be in English. The responses also cannot be scripted. They don't want it to appear that your students have been practicing. Although a little bit of a dry run with your kids is okay, in my opinion, but you don't want it to be so that they have canned responses that are shown. The videos must be approved as or recorded as an approved file type, which is an MP4. There are other file types, and there are references to that in the assessment guide. So if you're techie and you want to check that out, it's in the assessment guide. One thing to keep in mind when you're recording, though, is the size of the file. Sometimes you'll have to compress your file in order to make it submit into the system. And that is something I don't have. I'm not techie. I don't have any ideas on what to do or how to do that. I can help connect you with somebody that could do that for you. But I think a good Google search is probably sufficient for that. You also have to sign away your attestations that confirm that you are the sole author of your submission. It's just kind of that legal, honoring that the work submitted is your work. All right, so if you teach online, you can complete this assessment. As I said before, I've had probably a half a dozen teachers who teach online, did a beautiful job, passed flying colors. It was great. The assessment requirements still have to be met. And on pages 6 and 7 in the assessment guide, they give you specifics about that as well. So I want you to see what a score report looks like. This report here is one that did not pass. You can see that their score was at 209. A passing score is a combination of 220. The range is from 100 to 300. You'll never know how high above 220 you got, but that's okay. I want to make sure you understand what this means here. It says submission requirements met, and people will be confused. Well, I met the requirements, but I didn't pass. All this means is that you submitted the things that they asked for. There is no evaluation on the quality of what you submitted here. Okay, it's just that your template was uploaded, your video was uploaded, you're good. If you forgot one of those, then it would say not met. And so what they're going to do, the wording is a little bit different because this one is when they actually used to mail packets to you. It's all online now. It's so much easier than it used to be. We actually used to print out what you were writing and cut and paste in a paper. It was dreadful. But here you can see domains 1 and 2, 1 and 5, 1 and 4. That's what I mentioned. Domain 1 is a part of all of your submissions. But down here, they focus in on diagnostic information that shows what areas you may need improvement in if you don't pass. So you can see for this person's submission, they did not pass, and it was their video packet A, and it was area 3 and 6 that did not meet that requirement. So when you go to 3, planning an appropriate lesson aligned with the central objective, this was not met. So either the lesson was not appropriate for the grade level, for the population of student, the objective may not have aligned to what the actual competency is asking for. This number 6, using accurate knowledge about reading as identified in the RICA content specifications. This here means that this person did not convince their reader that they understood how reading develops throughout their template. So maybe they didn't use the right terminology. Maybe they didn't connect the reading processes with the terminology, those kinds of things. So these 6, when you get ready to submit, these 6 here absolutely need to be a huge focus on what you are looking at. So let's look at the others. Establishing an instructional objective based on assessment. Again, you have to have assessment that supports whatever lesson it is that you are writing. That lesson has to have an objective, and the objective needs to be aligned to the content standard. Number 2, identifying the RICA competency from which the lesson's central objective was derived. Sometimes people choose the wrong competency and they mislabel it, or they go off in a different direction than what they intended, and it doesn't meet the requirement. 3, we went through. Number 4, delivering the lesson provided providing students with direct, explicit instruction. This is huge. Okay, so if you're multitasking, come back to me, because direct instruction is blasted all over the content, the assessment guide. They always say in each competency, each domain, the importance of direct, explicit, systematic instruction. It needs to be visible. Number 5 is about analyzing the lesson. Part of the template is a reflection form, and it's where you are able to look at your lesson after the fact and see what you did, what you would improve, what your next steps would be. And then we talked about number 6 as well. So this is what a passing score looks like. And you can see this is a pass. It just says minimum passing score. There's no additional over that, but you still get that diagnostic information, the same stuff. So you can see this submission, video 2 had an area of weakness with number 3, planning an appropriate lesson aligned with the central objective. However, whatever that deficit was not enough to kick it out, which was great. So you can still get one or two of these and still pass, depending on how, the rest of the quality of what you're submitting. So before you begin, there's a few things that you really need to take care of in advance. You need to talk to your school first and foremost to let them know that this is something that you are doing. It's a requirement that you need for credentialing. Let them know what's happening and let your parents know. Because the kids are going to go home, especially the young kids. They're going to go home and they're going to say, teacher was recording me today. And if the parent doesn't know, you are going to get some phone calls and emails, and it's not going to go well. Okay. It's going to be a lot of putting out fires. So just in advance, let your parents know this is a requirement I have to do. These videos are not going to be distributed. It's just going up, do that whole spiel with them. Also, you want to make sure right now, like tonight or tomorrow, that you review the RICA assessment guide and the content specifications. You have to read this assessment guide. And let me show you what I do. So this is the entire, you can see how thick it is. Okay. This is the assessment guide, the content specifications, and the templates. And this is like my Video RICA Bible. It's highlighted, it's got Post-it notes all over it, it's got my chicken scratch on it, because I need to know what that requirement is. If you're old school like me, print it out. You might want to send it to, a copy place somewhere. And if not, have it available online, but you definitely need to know that assessment guide. If you have a question, I will do my best to answer it. I have pored over it, but there may be situations that I haven't considered. And so remember that you bear the burden of proof on this. And so you have to have that available to you as a resource. Also, be sure that you select a lesson that meets the requirements of the specified domains and competencies that they are requiring. I get a lot of questions with people, particularly ones that don't come through this yet. And they'll be like, well, I want to do a lesson, and they pull a kind of a random type of lesson out of their hat. And I say, what competency, what domain is that from? And they're, well, I don't know. Well, the whole point of this is that you're using those content specifications in order to meet those requirements. So you don't just randomly pick a lesson. You have to look at those specifications. Okay, questions about the requirements? All right, well, we still have a few of you with us, so that's good. Stanley, hi, go ahead.
Okay, so my first question is, you mentioned that we can resubmit. So I plan to resubmit one of them by March 7th. If I were to hypothetically speak, turn it in by the 30th of January, can I? and get my results back, can I resubmit?
No.
Okay. I can
No,
only.
so when you say resubmit, that sounds like you want to take something you already did and submit it again. You cannot do that.
Okay.
You can't do that. You have to start over.
Mhm.
And there are
If I don't pass, and then I have to look forward to the June
June.
17th. Okay.
Yes. You
Got you.
have to do it again by June. Yes. Because no matter when you submit it, your results all come out on the same day at the end of March.
Okay.
Okay. So let's say you knock it out and you turn it in February 1st.
Mhm.
You are waiting until I think it's like March 30th is when you'll get the results, because they close the portal on March 7th. Once you get the results, if you pass, hallelujah, you're done. If you don't, you have until that June 13th date that you would have to do it again. Not the same one.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes. So I teach in San Francisco, and there are a total. I have 5 different classes. Um, does it have to be the same class, or can it be different classes?
It could be different. Are you a sped teacher?
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It doesn't need to be the same class, because the way I understand it, I think that they probably have scores for each particular setting. And I don't know if there's any crossover or not. We've never had that be a problem, because in fact, because you're doing different settings, you're doing a whole class, a small group, and an individual. Even in an elementary classroom, there may be kids that are in your individual lesson that you can't see in your whole group lesson. So yeah, that's not a problem.
So for the templates, what are the suggested assessment methods?
That would be in the templates. I'm going to hold you on that one and we'll go in a little bit deeper. And those are the kinds of things that are actually in the course for you, that is laid out step by step. I've got annotated templates that tells you this is what you should do. Okay. But I'm going to hold you for that and for a second when I can draw your attention to the template as I show you inside. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. Any other questions about the requirements? Because I'm going to tell you a little bit about the course. Okay, so here's what the digital course includes. So last year I did live cohorts, and I accepted only so many people, and they worked with me weekly for 6 weeks. And it was a lot. It was a lot for me. And I do other things outside of this one little thing, and I don't have the time or capacity to have that kind of time available anymore. And so what I did is I made everything asynchronous, and the course is really good. Like I'm pretty proud of it. I lay out all of the content, all of the templates. I annotate sample templates. I don't show you what a template, like I don't give you somebody else's template. There's a whole thing about that we talk about related to, we don't ever want to bring up any kind of accusation of plagiarism, but I annotate the template to explain what they are looking for. There are 9 modules with over 5 hours of recorded video and slide deck. There is a monthly Q&A session for members that are in the course to check in with me, so that I come live like this and I go, okay, how's it going? And people kind of brainstorm, just kind of like what Stanley did. Okay, I've got 5 classes. What do I do? And we just Q&A it, right? And I do that. I have a date for you that will be in February. I'll do one in February and I'll do another one in March. But I am not reading templates and I am not viewing videos. That takes so much time with so many people that are involved. And so it was not a possibility for me. However, I have a workaround for you that I think you'll be happy with. Okay. Let me just say though, those Q&A sessions for our members are recorded. I put them inside of the course. So if you can't be there live and you want to hear what other people's questions are, you can see them. When you join the course, you can see all of those sessions that we had in the fall. Let's see. Oh, and the other thing about having this asynchronous is that I didn't have to limit how many people I took. So if you want to use it as a resource, you have it. It's available to you anytime. Okay. So this is what it includes. The cost of the course is $167. You will have access through June 13th of 2024, and then it closes it out. Why? Because I have to pull the course and rewrite the whole thing for the next year. So what you're purchasing is only for this year. The goal is to get you done. But if you decide to go with this again next year, it's another course purchase. Please just know that. And I will no longer, the course will close June 1. So I won't let anyone else, it's just not enough time for you then. So here's my workaround for the template. I know that it feels so much better to have somebody read your templates and give you feedback, and I totally get it. It just can't be me at this time. But it also needs to be somebody that understands the requirements of the RICA. So what I have done is I have selected a handful of past test takers that went through my cohorts. They have gone through my course. I have read their work. I have worked with them personally, and I have asked them if they would like to be available to review your templates. And I have 5 tutors, we'll call them, who are available for this. And these are people that I trust their work was good and that they will give good direction. Okay. These tutors also have access to me. So if they can't figure something out, they can come to me for a little bit more specific. So it's a way for me to kind of filter what I'm able to supply. So these are past test takers. They've been handpicked by me. I think I only asked 8 people. And like I said, I have 5 that agreed. And this is an additional cost for this. The course is $167. The template review, if you wanted a tutor to just read your templates, there is going to be a fee to them, a $50 fee. Now, this is not an unlimited kind of, I'm going to give it to you 17 times. No, that's not it. And that is something that you'll work out with your tutor. You know, it might be a 2 times or a 3-time view. It might only need a 1-time view. If you want that tutor to watch your videos also, that is a $50 charge. Again, this is additional. I am not a part of this. The only way that I will give you access to my tutors who are vetted by me, who have access to me, is you have to finish the digital course. I can go into the course and I can see what you've completed and what you haven't. And I want you to understand why I'm doing this. The course that I've created is very step-by-step, very sequential, very self-explanatory. And most people, if you go through that, you're going to be super well prepared for this. You're going to do great. There are others that will, for whatever reason, time, I don't have time, they get in a rush, they will skip things. And they will skip things that were important to passing this. And I don't want to put that on the tutors. That is on you guys to make sure that you have that. And so if you would like someone to review your templates, watch your videos, you will contact me. You'll send me an email and say, Emily, I finished. I've got my first draft of my template. Can you connect me with a tutor? And what I will do is try to pair you with a tutor that has a similar experience as you as well. It's not always possible, but I will try to do that. And then you two will work out the logistics, okay? That is, you'll Venmo them or whatever it may be. Questions about that?
We can test it here, so
Yeah.
it's fine.
Um, do we get to handpick our tutors? I mean, you answered some of my questions as far as, are they unlimited access as far as I can turn a different one in every day, but I guess
No.
yeah,
They're just like you guys. They're like you. They're new teachers. They're working hard. They've done this. And part of the reason that I had to step away is from people that would make a little revision and send it back to me to review. And no, you've got to complete it. You've got to then submit it. And then when you do a full revision, you can talk to them about, going back and forth. So it is not unlimited access. That's too much. Too much.
Because now it's up to 267 now, which is fine. But
But this is not a requirement.
yeah. Well, I need to do this to keep my job, but
Right. So yeah.
So I guess my question is, how much times can I the tutors basically I just need them to look at my work and provide feedback. How many times can I use them with the $50 charge?
It's something that your tutor is going to have to talk to you about. It's hard for me to say, Stanley, because
Well, what
is
can additional
how much
$100 provide me then?
I'm saying to you, I would imagine about 2 or 3 reviews.
Got you. Okay.
That would be, I think that's fair, because think about what your time is worth. And this is their time. And so it is something, and if they say to you, like, this will be my last review, and if you're like, I'm not done, you may opt to say, I'm going to pay for more of your time. You're paying for their time is what you're doing. Just like you would pay any service for their time.
Thank you, Emily.
Okay. Yeah. So that will be, again, I will do my best. And yes, it is for all 3 templates. It's not just for one template. It is a review for all 3 of your templates. And so we're kind of working that out. This is, again, an option that you can do. There are other things that you can do. You can share it with a mentor. You can share it with somebody in your district. The problem with that is if they don't understand what the requirements are, they may just be checking for like spelling, punctuation, that kind of thing, but they're missing the big stuff that you're getting scored on. I do have a revision tool in there that will help to target what you actually have to look at. So I strongly recommend that you do not use this video as a first attempt. I really suggest you go with the written if it's your first attempt. You do need to study all of the content specifications, and you need to know the content well, because you have to demonstrate that as you write your templates. And you only choose this option if you have your own class to work with. Again, that would be my opinion. I know of people that have borrowed classes and it worked out. It makes it a little more challenging. But also commit to doing things weekly. I wouldn't say live anymore, but I have a schedule inside of the course that I tell you what my suggestion is. This is what you need to do today. This is what you need to do. I lay the whole thing out, and I'm going to show you inside of the course and what that looks like in a moment. So your homework between now and before you make this decision is to download the assessment guide and the content specifications from the CDC website. Make that RICA binder. Become very familiar with the assessment guide. If you want to join the course, you can start it immediately. I'm going to drop the link so that you can enroll if that's what you decide to do. But I would really like for you to stick around and see what's on the inside of it, just so you have an idea. Questions, comments, concerns? I know there's a lot of, I don't know. This test is not easy, you guys. It's a lot of work. And I know that you want to have a lot of specifics, and that's really difficult to provide. Especially in regards to how a tutor is going to help support you. That is only there for you if you want it. If you don't feel that if you feel that that is more of a risk, then please don't choose that. Okay, then don't do that. You've got other options. Additional questions, you guys?
If I had to create my own lesson, does it have to be an ongoing assessment?
Say that again, Stanley.
I have to create my own
Yes.
lesson. Does it have to be an ongoing assessment?
An ongoing assessment in your lesson. Your lesson will be determined by the assessment data that you pull. That's the first thing. That's how you determine your objective. Then you will create the lesson, and at the end of the lesson, there is an assessment that they are asking for, that you will have a way to determine if the students met your objective or not. It may be a formal assessment like a quiz, or something specific. It could be very informal like an exit ticket, but there's some sort of a documentation for did the students meet the meet the objective. Oops. Okay. All right. So here's what I'm going to do, you guys. I'm going to take you inside, and I'm going to show you what this looks like, because I want you to have a visual of everything that is in there, okay? Give me just a second. If you've got any other questions, go
I
ahead, sweetie.
paid for the I don't know, it's $300 and something. I forget what it's called. That's not included.
For the platinum membership,
Mm-hmm.
that's for the written exam. They're
Okay.
completely different exams. Yeah, completely different courses, completely different exams.
Okay.
Okay, so let me show you this. Okay, so when you are in the, when you join the course, you are going to create a username and password, and it will log you in to a library. Everything that you own, as far as products, will be housed in the library. So here is my written exam, the main asynchronous course. Here's the written exam podcast course, and here is the video performance assessment below. So you're going to click View Product. And this is where the video performance assessment begins. You can see the modules are set up. Everything is linear and very laid out step by step. I really suggest you start with the very first video or module, and you just go through it in order. So you'll click on the welcome. This is going to be a quick little intro video you can see. And the things that you are going to want to pay attention to are anything in the show notes below the video. There might be some links. There might be some downloadable PDFs in the margins. And once you can maximize or minimize this. And when you complete it, you're going to just go into the next lesson. Okay, so there are 7 lessons in the first module. And as you're going in, here's how to navigate the course. Here is the planner that I talked about. So you always want to pay attention to the PDFs. This schedule I've broken it down into weeks. So week 1, week 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 weeks is a good amount of time to get this done. Okay, you really need about 6 weeks. And so each week I tell you the parts to complete and what to finish. And if you stay on schedule, you won't be overwhelmed, and you should have it ready to go by the end of that 6 weeks. There are different guidelines and requirements here. This is the handout that I have. Again, there are different handouts that are just the slide deck so that you can take notes if you would like. I do want to show you, okay, scoring guidelines, lesson planning. I give you some additional support from the New Teacher Success Network that is kind of some lesson plan design information, direct instruction, lesson design, things that are going to be really helpful. We talk about how to record your videos here, and then we go into the next module. And this is where you're going to find all the templates and files that you will need to download. And so the parent permission slip, the CDC will give you an English copy, but we had a member that was kind enough to translate it into Spanish. So we have the parent permission slip in English and in Spanish. There's also the templates. These are the blank templates. So let's see, I want to get to one other thing. Next module. Okay, so these are the links from the CDC. This is the one I wanted because I couldn't find my link. This is the assessment guide. It's 58 pages, and I want you to have this and go through this because it's very important that it's going to tell you all of the specifics about what is required here. I've pulled a lot of it, but again, there's nothing, that you want to get it straight from them too. All right, so we've got all of this information. I wanted to see if this is my outline one. So the templates will look like this. These are from CDC. I've got them available to you as a Google Doc and as a Word doc. And I'm going to show you the annotated ones that I have in just a moment. I think it's in a different module. Okay, so this is the whole class template. All right, this is what I wanted. So the whole class template video is going to focus in on that. I also provide you with links to YouTube videos that shows you possible lesson design, possible things you could do and modify for your lessons. So if you're like, well, I want to do something with decodable text. I'm going to do a spelling with tap and spell. I want to teach a specific phonics pattern. I'm going to teach inflected endings. I have vetted all of these for you so that you can see what good examples of teaching these lessons are from YouTube. And then the sample template, the sample template is where I annotate it. This is the Word doc. So what you will do is you will pull up a sample template. This is it is meant to be a guide for you. So I have annotated all over the template. I've given you recommendations, insights, focused in on certain things that I want you to not miss. And you can see all of these comments in the margins here are me explaining what this means and how to do it, what to include, what does that lesson look like. Here is that example about the data. So here are some examples for you. What types of data could you use? Your assessment methods. I suggest you can pull things like your screening data. If you've got Dibbles, Fontes and Pinnell, iReady, Lexia, Illuminate. You could use formative assessments like quizzes, writing, samples. You can use informal like observations. You can focus in, I give you some ideas of how to structure these all of these components. So single thing that they ask you for, I have commented on to elaborate what that means. You don't write on this. You don't write on this one. What you do is you pull it up next to your template. So when you're writing your own lesson, if you get stuck, you go, what do I do here? And there are my comments right there for you. Okay. And again, we go into, I do that for all the lessons for the small group. And there's a sample template for each one that is annotated, and there are videos in each one. that will show you possible ideas. Now, keep in mind, you don't just willy-nilly pick one of these videos and do exactly what this person on the YouTube video did. No, what you do is you look at the structure and the idea, and you look at what your class is doing and what your assessment data shows that they need help in, and then you kind of morph it. These are just kind of idea generators for you, but it's nice to have those. And then, so the last part is the reflection form, and that is the end of the template. Let's see if I have that. No, I don't have it here. Okay, I must have minimized it. So it's one page at the end that asks you specific questions, and I lay all of that out really specifically for you. And then the last one is about how do you submit? What are some things that you will do before your submission? Here are some past RICA Q&As so that you can see what we talked about. Oh, there was one. And then there was one previously I wanted to show you. There is something called the bonus content, and there is a yes test here, which is a revision tool that I used actually when I taught English. But what it does is it shows you all of the steps. The idea behind this is you go through your templates and you answer these questions. Do you have a clear objective that focuses on the outcomes of the student? Yes or no? The idea is that you have yes to everything before you submit. If you're like, no, that's something you need to fix because that's something they're scoring you on. All right. So this is something, it's just an incredible tool that you can use to self-revise and to give to like a mentor or something to look for that. These are also things that my tutors know very, very well. And that is the entirety of the video course. You can see it's all here. It includes those 22 lessons. And if you decide to go with this, you literally log in, start at the top. Please, please don't skip. Don't try to find a workaround. I like to say you have a choice, right? The choice is find the time to do it right or find the time to do it over. And so please, please, and I know there are circumstances outside of that sometimes as well, but for the most part, really just follow those steps by step. Angelica, hi, honey, go ahead.
Yes, hi, I had a question. So right now I'm a VIP member for the written exam part. Now for the video part, that's a separate fee?
It's a separate course. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's completely different. My written people that are going with the written don't have access to the video, and vice versa unless they enroll in those. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, dear.
Are you having any information on the reading exam, like this one that you're doing for the video? So part one for the reading?
I did it yesterday.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was last night. It has been recorded and it will be uploaded on Thursday. And you can watch it on YouTube. So yeah, it was yesterday.
Okay.
There's also one online right now, but that one will be a little more, the one that's coming out, this will be a little bit more updated. And the other thing I wanted to tell you is the first Q&A for those that are enrolled into the video course is going to be February 5th. It's Monday, February 5th. So that gives you time to get in, get started. And then if you have questions, you can come in and talk to me about those specifics. That's February 5th, okay? So the best way to handle that, I think, is as you're working through, have a list of questions. Now, you have access to me via email, but a lot of the times I may refer you back to a module because there might be something that was missing, but you absolutely have an opportunity to reach out to me anytime. Okay. All right. And so the last thing I am going to give you then, and this is if you decide that this is an option that you want to pursue, I also would, you know, you don't want to wait. You really don't want to wait. It takes a long time. It's not easy. And so the quicker you can get in and get started, the better off you will be. So the link to join is in the chat now. It's also on the website. So if today doesn't work, but you want to get it in the next few days or something, I would strongly urge, if you are preparing to submit in March, that you start this week. Okay, you get started this week. You need 6 weeks. Now, another option is if life happens, let's say that you get started and, you know, something happens, there's a health emergency, something, and you can't get your submission in by March. You can continue to work on it and then submit in June. The only problem with that is that's the last opportunity that you have. So it's not something you want to put off, but I know that life happens. And so, you know, what you're getting is good for both the March and the June submission.
Oh, like my program ends in June, and after June, whatever, my program starts all over again with the new CTC guidelines. So then I would be good to go. If I didn't pass this March one, then I could resubmit in June, right?
I don't quite understand, Brandy.
So if I submitted in March and I didn't pass in March, I could redo it and submit a new one in June.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because
you can.
I'm not taking any classes over again. I'm done.
Okay.
If I don't
Yeah.
pass by June and my program starts all over again, I'm picking a different place.
I got you. I understand. I do. I know, you guys, I know, believe me, I have heard all of the horror stories. I really have. 8 years doing this. I know how hard it is. And what I have learned over the years of helping and supporting teachers just like yourself is I'm just more explicit and clear in what I give. And if you follow it very, very carefully, I can improve your chances. I can't make a guarantee that you will pass. I really can't. I wish I could, but I can absolutely improve your chances with the support. And so hopefully that is enough to get you through it. That's what we want. That's the goal. You know, I want to get some good teachers in the classroom so that our kids have you available. They need you. So don't give up. Don't give up. It's a tough road, but I want you to remember that teaching reading is the most important thing that your kids are going to learn in high school and any school, didn't mean high school, in school, right? They have to know how to read. So embrace it. You might learn something, you know, that you didn't know, and you might find some joy in it. Yeah, so that's what I have for you. If you decide to join me, I will be sending out emails in the first week of February for that next Q&A. Make sure if you do enroll that you click the little subscribe button so that you receive the email notifications about these things, and check your email. I don't recommend using your work email. Sometimes we get bounced emails from work. Some of their firewalls keep it out. So I would use a personal email, quite honestly, and something that is consistent for you. All right. I'm going to stick around for anybody who has any specific questions, but otherwise, thank you so much for being here. And if you have any other questions, just email me, readingdiva06@gmail.com. You can catch me on the Facebook group or in Facebook Messenger, and you can follow me on Instagram too. So yeah, have a great evening, have a great week, and we'll talk soon.